Well, let's get some analysis from Klaus Jurgens. He's a political analyst and journalist, joins me from Austria. Klaus, thanks so much for your time and coming onto the program. Now, Germany is all about the coalition. The last elections, we saw a new coalition take several months to actually form. How long do you think it's going to take this time round?
Well, hello. Good day to you. I think what everyone said yesterday sounded very optimistic to have it done by Christmas and ideally sooner. Then the joke was made last night, maybe Angela Merkel would still do her New Year's address speech early in 2022 as a caretaker chancellor. Now, this would be, I think, disastrous for Germany and its standing in Europe, in the world. And we shouldn't forget the G7 is coming up as well, as was mentioned yesterday. Now, I think it all boils down. I may beg to differ a little bit about the relevance of the Greens here. I think it all boils down to the Liberal Party. Why do I think so? Yesterday, Herr Lindner reiterated one more time that basically his preference would have been a CDU, CSU, FDP coalition. Of course, this mathematically did not work out, same like Scholz and Mrs. Baerbock. Now, they have to come together. Now, the Greens want to be in power anyway. They actually wanted to run for chancellor. Now, this didn't work out either. Now, if the Greens want to be in power and have a climate government, a climate change, a climate policy government, they will ask which party can deliver this more easily. And if they would find out that the Conservatives are actually up for it, and if the FDP then says, why not? The Green Party, when it was set up, it was a rather conservative agricultural party. We are a business-friendly, not conservative, but middle-of-the-road party. We may find common ground. Then the CDU, CSU would immediately jump in and say, yes, this is what we say anyhow. We want to tackle climate change, but not overnight. First, we have to have the investment. So it's, as my colleague just said, it will be difficult to bring these three together, either under Scholz or, if Laschet stays at the helm, under Armin Laschet. I would not be surprised if the Greens and the FDP indeed start preliminary exploratory talks, find out where the two agree, and then literally listen to SPD and CDU, CSU, who is actually matching, who is the best match. That would be a departure from preconditioned tradition that the biggest party starts all the talks. Very interesting development.
Very interesting indeed. Klaus, but the very close results, what does it tell us about German politics, about the country as a whole? There were millions of undecided voters before Sunday's polls. What does this say about Germany and its society?
I think German society has changed. If we go back into history, there were election results, 42%, 41%. These were the margins of the two ruling either the left or the right. This is, I think, now shelved. This is history. I don't see any of these parties ever forming a single government, if at all. That happened very seldom in Germany. German society has changed. The Greens are a factor decades after having entered the political scene. They are there. The Social Democrats were basically wiped out. It's a renaissance, this vote. So there is still a strong social democracy movement, which is good to see for democracy. The Conservatives have to really find out where are they headed. Do they want to move closer to the right to get votes from the AfD, similar to Austria, where the ÖVP tries to catch votes from the Freedom Party? Do they want to move closer to the left to get the younger vote back to the CDU, CSU? Or are they accepting to lose, like this time, over 8% of the popular vote? I think we will never come back to a two-dominant party system structure, at least not over the next couple of decades. Is it positive? I think so, but we have to take the roughest to smooth, or the other way around. Now, we have still a far-right party, the AfD, over 10%. And they are not exiting the Bundestag. Unfortunately, they are a factor of life as well. The worst thing that could happen is if mainstream parties now go vote-catching in far-right territory. That would be, I think, disastrous for German politics. Let's hope that they all stick to the course. Sum it up, good to see social democracy is back on track, not party politically speaking, but democracy speaking. The Conservatives have to do a lot of thinking and lots of food for thought. Where do they actually want to go? The Greens wanted to take over and have the chancellor. It didn't work out. So a compromise, maybe German realpolitik at its best. That would be nice to see.
Yeah, that's going to, I would imagine there's going to be a lot of compromise, a lot of talks in the coming months. And it's difficult to talk about Germany and politics without, of course, talking about Angela Merkel, the fixture for 16 years. These were big elections for Germany, but what about Europe as a whole? Whoever takes over the chancellorship, do you expect there to be major changes to Germany's economy going forward?
Well, there will be major changes in the international arena. We have to be honest. Neither of the candidates or any of the proposed coalition partners, the leading politicians, have extensive European Union experience, not like Helmut Kohl before, not like some social democrats, Gerhard Schröder, not like Angela Merkel. There could be a certain void in Germany being the engine of Europe, as they still call it, because Germany has to find her own way, first of all. And this could perhaps help the French to gain, again, a little bit the upper hand, not only linguistically, but politically in a post-Brexit, post-pandemic, post-Angela Merkel era. Having mentioned that, I do not think Angela Merkel is going into her well-deserved pensioner life writing her memoirs. Actually, I think she might be up for another high-level position. And why not consider the European Union for doing exactly that? This would cement her legacy not only as a German leading politician, but as a European leading politician, being a woman on top of that, which is still rather complicated. So unfortunately, there is NATO, there is the United Nations, you never know. And one should not forget, there is, of course, the president of the Federal Republic of Germany. Now, I could imagine she stays somewhere on the sidelines for some time, but then re-enters politics big time. But the most important issue for Germany will be in the post-pandemic world, how to stimulate the economy. And there are two exactly opposing viewpoints. Either reducing taxes, putting less burden on the economy, on the private investor side, increase taxes, that the government has more money to spend and step in. Olaf Scholz would not be anti the government actually taking over some of this responsibility. In his younger years, he was a very strong defender of a certain type of the state stepping in when private investors don't. Now, this would not go down with the CDU, CSU anyhow. This would not go down well with the FDP, which brings us back to the first point. Could the FDP favor a more market economy-oriented CDU, CSU over the SPD, regardless of the climate policy demands of the Greens?
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting few months for Germany. Klaus Jurgens, appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.